What's up everyone? In this episode, we're gonna learn how to create a sound system for our game. Let's go! So, the sound system is gonna be in charge of playing all of our sounds in the game, whether it's gonna be a sound effect or simply music. So we're gonna go with these two different differentiations as we explained back in the introduction of the audio in the previous episode. So whether it's gonna be a jumping sound or a landing sound or just interaction with something sound, or it could be something else that's gonna be looping in the background like the ambient or the music of the game. We're gonna do both of them, but first, before we start, I wanna explain that I want to mention that I've got a free assets from the Unity asset store, and it's basically a sound clips pack. It's called free casual game SFX pack. I'm gonna put the link in the comments in the description below. You can get it. It's basically a bunch of sound effects that can be used in whatever you want. I mean, I'm not gonna use all of them. I'm just use them for the tutorial, and they're different stuff. You see, like anyway, so I'm gonna put the link in the description so you can also use it if you want to do it for your game or testing reasons. First of all, I want to explain how can we play a sound in the simplest manner. First of all, let's create a game object. Let's call it audio test, and inside of it we're gonna use, as we described, the audio source, which is the main container for the audio. By default, it comes with an empty audio clip, which we have to add, and it plays by default and does not loop, with full sound and a 2D. So these are the main stuff. We're gonna keep everything as it is, but I'm gonna tick off the play on start or awake because I'm gonna initiate the playing manually. But for the sake of this this small test here, I'm gonna keep it on because I want to call it without the script right now. So let's have this on like this. I'm gonna take the force sound. I think it sounds like oh, it's actually like a tick-tock. So if I put this in here and then I play on awake, and when I start the game, it should play the sound. Yep, that's it. So it plays a sound in one iteration, but if we keep it loop, it's gonna keep on playing endlessly. So one thing for our game is, I want to keep the sound effects played once, but the music loopy. And we're gonna have a script. Let me actually, no, actually it's better if I draw it in my amazing drawing skills. So we'll have an entity called, let's call it sound system, okay? Inside of it, it's gonna be a prefab. Inside of it, there can be a big list of a lot of audio clips, different stuff like footsteps, door opening, landing, shotgun, all these things, and it will be separate. Like we'll have one for SFX and one for, let's say, music. Okay. We'll also have its own list, since music will be less. It depends on your game. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna call this script from outside, from whatever we want. Let's say we wanna play a sound when we jump, right? So we go to the script of the character, and in the place that we do the jumping, we're gonna call this sound system, and we're gonna call a method inside of it. And this method, what it's gonna do is it's gonna pick up the sound that comes after referencing from this call. Like for example, I'm gonna call this method inside of here with a reference named jump. Okay, so it's gonna translate this into fetching the proper audio, making a game object, put the audio inside. Like, I don't know how to draw audio, something like this. Anyway, so it plays the audio, and when the audio finishes, this game object gets deleted, and so on. And purpose for deleting this game object, because we don't want to keep a lot of clutter in the game, and it's gonna end up lagging if we play a lot of sounds. So this is just to save for just optimization. If you don't do it, you're gonna have a lot of problems. So this is simply how we're gonna do it. Let's go start with creating the script. So first of all, let's create a script, call it sound. Let's call it what, sound or audio manager? I'm gonna call it audio manager. Audio manager. That sounds more something. Okay, so let's minimize this. For some reason, whenever I click anything, it opens this up. So let's delete this stuff. First of all, I'm gonna have to create an audio source. I mean, how you wanna group this out, the audio clips, it's all up to you. You can make a public list audio clips. Of course, it's gonna be audio clips, and let's call it SFX, right? Library. You can do it like, oh, this shouldn't be like this. It's a mistake. You can keep it like this. You can go and actually make them one by one. Like you can create one. You can create one that says jump, hit, point, etc. You know, and you can add as much as you want. Some other people, they can do other things like instead of referencing from the script, they put it in a folder called resources, and inside resources you can call it by accessing this one, resources dot, okay, it has to be inside the script, so let's do this, resources dot load. So this one is a different approach, and I wouldn't recommend this at the start until you get a hang of your audio system, audio manager, and then you can improve it to more stuff, because this one is used to run assets on runtime. For us, I'm gonna go with this method, and you can also make enums. For example, you have an enum, but this is the simplest right now. So right now I'm gonna make multiple sounds. Let's have point and click. All right. Actually, let me go through the sounds to find out a proper sound. Okay, this is click. This is like a something. Okay, TikTok. Okay, so we've got, I think I found two things. Nope. Yeah, so I'm gonna use these two. This one for landing, and this one when we pick up the cherry. All right. So I'm gonna call this landing. I think it's this one. Wait, no. Wait, what's this one? No. Yeah, I'll use this one here. Landing. Yeah. I'll call it cherry. That thing's fine. Let's look where, because of the naming, it actually went over here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, crap. Tick. Landing was actually number 5, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, not number 5. Landing. So we got ourselves 2 of those stuff. Let's delete this test one and open the script again. Let's have landing and cherry. Again, this is just for testing reasons, and I want to look for slightly longer audio so I can play it as a background. I don't think they have music in here, like long sounds. Let's see. I think all of them are just sound effects, which is how it should be because I got sound effects. Okay, I think I'm gonna use a TikTok. Yeah, TikTok sounds better. So I'm gonna also create public audio clip. TikTok. Again, naming convention should be also important for you. You have to make sure that audio sound effects. You have to make sure that you can call the proper stuff so you don't get confused. Sound effects. Like in here, I can make SFX underscore, and then here I can make music underscore. I think that would make much more sense to music. So we got these two referenced in here, and the next thing we need to do is we need to create a game object, as we described there. Let's call it we'll just call it sound. That's it. It's elaborate and makes sense. In audio source, this object is gonna be basically null, empty, and we're gonna create it during runtime and assign a sound to it and do whatever we want to do. So I'm gonna keep it as it is. Actually, this doesn't matter, but let's do it anyway. Let's make a folder called prefab. So prefab, if you've never used it before, it's basically a prefabricated game object that can be saved and used on multiple, scenes or multiple events, which can hold the same attribute. So this is useful for, let's say, using bullets, or you want to use it, let's say, pick up objects like health bars, health potions, or anything like this that can be used multiple times across your game. And the cool thing is, you can add this in here and another scene, and then if you modify the stuff in here, let's say made this 2, this one also gets the same effect. So this is really useful. So let's put this like here, and let's go back and let's make one sound object. So we'll go public game object sound object. So this one is going to be used to be instantiated, and I guess this is it for all what we need in here. The other thing that we need to do is we need to make this one accessible by external scripts, and then it can be accessed by using this find. Let's just do a test script here. It can be accessed by using find game object and then audio manager, but I want to make a different way. I'm going to use a singleton. Singleton is basically making a static reference of the script that can be accessed from outside this script in a more of a direct way. So what we need to do for this one, we need to go make a reference public static, and then use the game object type audio manager. You can call it whatever you want, but by practice I used to like keep on using this thing instance, and that's it. So what we done here, we made a public static game object of the script. Okay, so we have this entity called instance, but we need to reference it to this script in here. So what we need to do is the most practice used for this is assign it during the awake method cycle, because it's earlier than start. So we go void awake, and what we need to do is instance equals this. We'll talk about other stuff about avoiding duplications and singletons later if needed, but this is used for like a one scene purpose. But in other games, I want to create this thing in a different scene, like in the main menu, and then I want it to come to me, like I don't want it to keep persistent along the whole game. So this needs a lot of other stuff, which we'll talk in a different episode, but I'm going to implement it in here also to make sure that this game object actually stays in this scene and also goes with us to another scene. But even if we come back to this scene, it's going to make sure that there will be only one element of it. That's it. So we're going to use this thing in here. We're going to make the void awake, and what this does, this makes sure that this instance or this game object, this object is linked to this script in the game object, so we can access it from outside. Like I can show you, like right now. Let's go to a different script. This is the item. In here, I can go audio manager dot. Let me make something in here. Let's just go public void test. Okay, so I can go instance and then test. See, now we can access it from anywhere that we want instead of going find. So that's the first thing we can do here. Okay, so as we described, so let's go and make something called here play SFX. Okay, so for us to be playing SFX from outside of the script, we need to send a message to this method here. Like if we go here in the Fox and then look for the landing part and we say play SFX, and we have to reference what kind of SFX. So we're gonna use string. You can use anything you want. You can use string, you can use integers. It all depends how you want to build it. So I'm gonna use string SFX name. Okay. So this is done here. So what we can do in here, we need to actually differentiate like a mechanism that can choose what SFX do we need to play. Simplest way is to go with switch. So we need to apply switch to the SFX name, and in it you can do whatever you want, right? Like let's go with case first. Let's say we decided on having landing, cherry, and TikTok. Okay, so let's go and check land. Okay, landing. Let's make it landing. Another case would be cherry, you know, and let's just make the default one because this is important. That's it. So for SFX we have only two. I mean, the more you get, the more you can add it, and the bigger it becomes. You can use another approach. You can use the index, which means like an ID number, and with ID number you don't have to make a lot of cases. Like you can have a list with 5 sounds or 10 sounds or 20 sounds, and then according to the number that you send, you can just play that exact sound. Alright, so we have this in here. We can now what we can do is like we can call this method with the name of the sound, and it will do at the moment nothing, right? So what we're gonna do in here, we're gonna create a method that does the whole instantiation, assigning the clip, and playing it. Alright, so I'm gonna call it sound object creation. Okay, it's a bit big, but it's fine. So in here, what we need to do is we need to create sound object game object. Okay, second thing, assign audio clip to its audio source. That makes much more sense. Play the audio. I think that's it. That's everything that we need. So to create it, we have a reference of the sound object, and then we have to assign the audio clip source. From here, we need to have the reference of which sound we need to do. So one thing we can do here, we can go audio clip, okay? And then we will call this thing from here along with the clip that we need to use. And that's it. So first thing we need to do is we need to go in the landing, go sound object creation. Since we're doing the landing, I'm gonna actually reference this SFX landing. So that's how simple it does. So we take the SFX sharing. So if we have the landing, we send the landing audio clip to here to create and then play. And the small hint, if you can have the same output for multiple, conditions. Like let's say I want to play, I send the text of landing, so it's fine. But what I can do is like I can say, okay, you know what? I want it also to play land SFX, okay? And I can also want it to play land sound. So what this means, like if I input this or this or this, it will do this thing. So you can use it for multiple things. Let's keep it as it is. First of all, I'm gonna go game object. Game object. Let me actually explain it better. So we have to do instantiation. So we go instantiate, and in instantiate we create a game object in a scene from an existing prefab. So by default it takes only one parameter, which is the prefab itself, but the next one it takes the prefab and the parent. I want to make the parent the same game object that this script is included. So let's make this game object sound object, and then let's go add here transform. Transform means this transform of the game object, which is the sound manager. But we need to do one thing. We need to access this game object, so we have to make a reference of it. So we go game object, we make it new object. Okay, so what we've done here, we created this sound object, empty one, and then we assign it to new game object. So simply we go with new object that get component audio source. We're accessing the audio source of it, and to change the clip, audio clip, we're gonna have to change this parameter called clip, and we add this thing that's getting passed along from the previous method. So right now we've assigned the clip to it. The last thing we need to do is play it. Okay, new object dot get component audio source dot play. So this will do the simplest, most straightforward way of playing the sounds. Okay, so we can test it right now, and I'm gonna make it in a way that I'm playing that sound from when he lands on the floor. So let's make audio manager. Okay, and let's drag and drop. Actually, we don't need to, so we go audio manager, this one. So let's make the references here properly. Actually, we can, if we click here, we go landing, we find it in the assets, we go here cherry, because I've already named them, and TikTok is basically TikTok, and this game object is this one here, prefab. So we can do the same thing. We go like on sound, and we can find it here. I guess this does it. The next thing we need to do, we need to actually test it out. So let's go to the Fox game object, and if I'm not mistaken, we have a place where we actually detect where we land when we land on the floor. Okay, so let's land it. Let's look at where we do this. Because I forgot. Ground check, move. It should be here in the ground check. So I'm gonna look for it and get back to you quickly. Alright, I found it. It's in here. So from this place exactly, it's getting called once whenever we land. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna call audio manager instance play sfx, and we're gonna call it landing. Okay. So let's keep everything as it is, and then we look here on this object. So as soon as we land on the floor, it's gonna play. Actually, it's played. Let's try again. So it's jump. See, it's playing the sound without any problems. But we have multiple issues in here. One of them is whenever we play the sound, we need to remove it, because we don't want to have a lot of sound in here, and then the more the game plays, the more it becomes more laggy because of the sounds that we have. And the next thing is we're gonna do audio for the background, like ambient music that's looping. But we'll do this in the next episode. In this episode, I hope you enjoyed this so much, and if you do, hit the like and subscribe so I can keep giving you more tutorials and more content. Otherwise, if you have more questions or inquiries, hit the comment below. Also visit our Discord channel to stay updated. Other than this, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.